Hello, dear friends. Let's take a moment to sit quietly together. Gently relax your body and let go of the worries running through your mind. Allow yourself to return to the present moment, a moment where you can truly be with yourself fully and peacefully. In this busy and noisy world, perhaps the most precious gift we can give ourselves is a moment of silence. And within that stillness, an old but important question may arise. Why is it that we often don't understand ourselves, and even less, understand others? We live with our own body and mind every single day. Yet many times, we feel lost within ourselves. A sudden burst of anger may surprise us. A quiet sadness lingers deep inside and we don't know where it came from. Then we meet others, our loved ones, coworkers, or friends, and somehow, we feel misunderstood, disconnected, or even hurt. Have you ever asked yourself, why did they act that way? Why were they cold or hurtful? But if we look more deeply, we may see that they, too, are suffering. They also carry wounds that haven't healed, and often they don't even understand themselves. In Buddhism, understanding or insight is the foundation of true compassion. When we truly understand, we stop blaming. We stop wanting to hurt. Instead, we want to embrace to heal. The Buddha once said, no one can truly love unless they truly understand. So, the spiritual path in Buddhism is not just about meditation, chanting, or reading scriptures. It's a journey inward, a path of returning to ourselves, of looking deeply into our own minds and hearts. From there, we can begin to understand others and ultimately the nature of suffering in this world. In this video, we'll walk together on a meaningful journey. A journey from understanding ourselves to understanding others. Step by step, we'll explore how to observe our inner world, our emotions, reactions, and habits with mindfulness and clarity. Then we'll extend that insight outward to our relationships with parents, children, partners, friends, and even those who have hurt us. We'll learn to look at others not with judgment, but with compassion. This is not some abstract philosophy. This is a practice, something we can begin right now, today, through our breath, our speech, and our silence. If we truly wish to understand, wisdom will naturally bloom within us, like a lotus rising from the mud. So I invite you to join me in this journey, a journey of insight, transformation, and genuine love. Understanding yourself is the root, turning inward to look deeply. The Buddha once said, conquering yourself is a greater victory than conquering 1,000 enemies. This teaching is not just a lofty ideal, it is a practical guide for anyone seeking peace and freedom. In life, we face countless external challenges, career pressure, relationship struggles, unexpected losses. But perhaps the most difficult and complex challenge lies within ourselves, the inner battlefield that few people truly see clearly. Most of us go through life believing we know who we are. But if that's true, why are we so easily angered, hurt, anxious, or overwhelmed by self-doubt? Why can a single comment from someone leave us suffering for days? Why do we constantly judge ourselves, carry shame, or feel that we're never enough? The truth is, we don't truly understand ourselves. Living in ignorance, not seeing clearly. In Buddhist teachings, ignorance doesn't simply mean a lack of knowledge. It refers to not seeing reality clearly, especially the reality within our own body and mind. We are swept away by the current of life, chasing success, approval, and external validation while forgetting to pause and ask, how am I really doing deep inside? We live on autopilot, reacting out of habit, making decisions based on fleeting emotions, and behaving in ways conditioned by the past. Often, our actions stem from fear, anger, or insecurity, but we don't recognize it. We only feel the aftermath, exhaustion, regret, and a growing sense of disconnection from ourselves. Common ways we fail to understand ourselves. Judging ourselves through temporary emotions. We often believe our emotions define us. When we feel sad, we think we're broken. When we feel angry, we think others are against us. When we fail, we label ourselves as worthless. But emotions are like clouds, they come and go. If we identify with every passing cloud, we'll never see the vast, open sky of our true nature, defining ourselves by roles, achievements, and images. We might say, I'm a good parent, I'm successful, or I'm strong. But these identities are fragile. When life shakes those roles, when children don't listen, when we lose our job, we crumble. We mistake the mask for the person behind it, avoiding uncomfortable emotions instead of observing them. Rather than sitting quietly with sadness, anxiety, or loneliness, we numb ourselves, with busyness, screen time, eating mindlessly, or chasing distractions. But suppressed emotions don't disappear, they accumulate, waiting to erupt when we least expect it. Returning to ourselves through mindful breathing. The Buddha taught, the breath is the bridge between the body and the mind. In Buddhist practice, mindful breathing is a foundational tool to help us come home to ourselves. When we simply sit down, close our eyes, and follow the natural rhythm of the breath, we begin to feel what's really going on inside. We might notice a heaviness in the chest, a quiet sense of unease, or a subtle sorrow we've ignored. We don't need to fix or analyze these feelings. Just see them, breathe with them, and be present. Like a true friend, we learn to sit with our own emotions without judgment, without resistance. That gentle presence alone begins the healing process. Meditation questions to deepen self-awareness. A powerful method for deepening inner understanding is using reflective meditation questions. These aren't meant to be answered intellectually, but to shine light on the inner landscape. What is happening inside me right now? Is there sadness in me? What kind? Am I afraid? What am I afraid of? What am I craving or hoping for in this situation? These questions act like lanterns in a dark room. They help us see what's really there, not what we assume. Not what we project, but the living truth of our present moment. Understanding ourselves is the first step toward awakening. When we clearly see our body and mind, not through others' opinions, not through society's standards, but through direct inner insight, peace begins to arise. We're no longer dragged around by emotions. We know when to speak and when to remain silent. We stop trying to prove ourselves, stop running away, and start living authentically. And from that ground of self-understanding, another door opens, the door to truly understanding others. But before we walk through it, let's give ourselves the gift of space and silence to come back, to look inward, and to let the light of insight gently touch our hearts. Understanding others is not about judgment. It's about compassion. Dear friend, have you ever been hurt by someone's words or actions? And in that moment, your first instinct was to judge them? They're so rude. Why would they act like that? They must be a terrible person. It's easy to judge. So easy because we're only seeing the surface. But few people stop for a moment to ask, what's behind that behavior? Could it be pain? Could it be wounds they've never healed? Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, when you understand someone's suffering, you will not be angry at them anymore. Just one sentence, but it holds the power to transform the way we look at people. Understanding doesn't mean we agree with their wrongdoings. It means we refuse to let someone else's ignorance dry up the compassion in our own heart. There's a powerful story in Buddhist teachings about the Buddha and an angry ascetic named Kasyapa. Kasyapa was a spiritual practitioner for many years. But when he heard of the Buddha's teachings, jealousy and pride rose within him. He wanted to prove himself superior. So he confronted the Buddha filled with rage, throwing sharp words and accusations. But the Buddha didn't react. He simply smiled. Furious, Kasyapa shouted, "Aren't you angry? I've insulted you." The Buddha gently replied, "If someone offers a gift, but I do not accept it, who does the gift belong to?" Kasyapa fell silent. The Buddha continued, "In the same way, you offer me your anger, but I do not receive it. It remains with you." And then, instead of scolding, the Buddha invited Kasyapa to sit. He offered him tea. He spoke of the pain people carry, the fear, the old habits that control our actions. In that silence, in that deep presence, something inside Kasyapa broke open. He knelt down and asked to become a disciple. Even the angriest person can be transformed if someone is willing to see beyond the anger and listen with compassion instead of judgment. Because behind every difficult behavior is a pain that hasn't been healed. The person who constantly yells may have been yelled at their whole childhood. The one who's cold and distant may have been abandoned. The one who always criticizes others may have never felt seen or loved. They act the way they do not because they're bad, but because they haven't yet seen the roots of their suffering, and no one has helped them. So today, try this small but powerful practice. Look at others as if you are seeing a wounded part of yourself. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with them?" try asking, "I wonder what pain they're carrying?" Maybe they, too, just want to be understood. If I had lived their life, would I have acted differently? And then sit quietly for a moment. Breathe in, breathe out, and softly whisper in your heart the words of loving-kindness meditation. May you be well. May you be free from suffering. May you be understood and loved. No need for them to hear it. Just let it rise from the stillness inside you. Practice this daily, even just a little, and you'll begin to notice something miraculous. Not only will you understand others more deeply, but your own heart will feel lighter. Understanding others doesn't mean accepting every behavior. It means having the wisdom to see through their reactions and into the pain that's hiding underneath. It means remembering that they too are human. They too are wounded, just like you. And when you stop judging, when you can see even the most difficult person through the eyes of compassion, you are doing something incredibly noble. You're helping them heal, and at the same time, you're healing yourself. Understanding others begins with deep listening. Dear friend, we often believe that to understand others, we need to give them good advice or have clever, insightful responses. But in the teachings of the Buddha, he reminds us, to understand, you must listen with compassion. Listening isn't about reacting. It's not about forming your argument while the other person is still speaking. And it's definitely not about waiting for your turn to talk. True listening means entering the world of another human being, where there may be pain, joy, longing, or confusion, even if they haven't found the words to express it yet. Have you ever sat in front of someone, appearing to listen, but your mind was busy preparing a reply, or quietly disagreeing with every sentence they said? That's not listening. That's performing silence while preparing a response. Real listening asks us to quiet not just our voice, but also our thoughts. It invites us into a sacred pause, an openness of heart where understanding can blossom. There's an old Buddhist story. One day, a poor woman, overwhelmed by grief after losing her only child, came to the Buddha. She had gone from healer to healer, desperate for a cure that no one could give. Her eyes were wild with loss, her voice trembling with despair. But the Buddha didn't lecture her. He didn't immediately teach about impermanence or detachment. He sat in silence, grounded, present, compassionate. He listened as she wept, as she told stories of her child's laughter, the memories of holding him, the dreams she had, and the Buddha simply listened, with all of himself. Only after she had poured her whole heart out did he gently say, "Please bring me a handful of ashes from a house that has never known death." She left hopeful. She knocked on every door in the village only to hear again and again, "We too have lost someone. We too have suffered." In walking from house to house, the woman's heart slowly softened. Her pain no longer felt isolated. She began to understand suffering is not hers alone. And that realization began her healing. That is the power of compassionate listening. My friend, today we live in a noisy world, where everyone wants to speak, but few truly listen. Practicing mindful listening is a profound gift. You don't need the perfect words. You don't need to fix anything. You just need to be fully there. Try sitting with someone who is hurting. Don't jump in with advice. Don't rush to explain their pain away. Look into their eyes. Stay quietly present. And inside your heart, silently say, "I'm here for you. You're safe to be just as you are." Your words matter. And when they finish speaking, simply ask, "Did I hear you right? Is there more you'd like to share?" No fixing, no correcting, just the gift of being there. You see, deep down, we're all like dry soil waiting for the gentle rain of someone's attention. You can be that rain. You can offer that healing space if you let go of judgment, reaction, and the need to be right. Every angry word, every emotional outburst, every silence that lasts too long. Behind all of it is a story, a wound, a human being needing to be seen. When someone is deeply listened to, something inside them begins to heal. And when you listen deeply, your own heart opens too. That's the miracle of compassionate listening. The connection between understanding yourself and understanding others, that is wisdom. Dear friend, as we begin the journey of understanding ourselves, we come to a profound realization. We too suffer, we too have limits and imperfections. We are not perfect, and this is not something to be ashamed of or avoid. It is a truth that calls for sincere acceptance. This very acceptance opens a great door in our hearts, the door of empathy and deep understanding for others. Because when we recognize our own suffering, we see that others are just like us. They suffer, they feel anxious, and they struggle to find happiness and peace. From there, true compassion arises, not the kind of love based on admiration or pity, but a love born from deep insight into our shared humanity. In Buddhism, wisdom, or prajna, is not just intellectual knowledge. It is the ability to see clearly the truth with eyes free from self-centeredness, permanence, or fixed views. In other words, we see that everything is impermanent, there's no fixed self. And all things arise dependent on conditions. This understanding helps us move beyond biases and quick judgments. When we grasp dependent origination, we realize that suffering is not a punishment or unchangeable fate but part of the flow of life. Remember the Four Noble Truths, the foundation of all Buddhist teaching. First, we see suffering dukkha. Suffering is an undeniable reality of life. Second, we see the cause of suffering, craving, anger, and ignorance. Third, we see that there is a way to end suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. And fourth, we walk that path through mindfulness, meditation, and wisdom. From this clear understanding, we connect the insight into ourselves with the insight into others. There is a story about a famous Zen master teaching his student. One day, the master asked, "Look at that person as if they were yourself. When they suffer, do you suffer? When they are happy, do you feel joy?" The student replied, "Master, that seems very difficult." The master smiled gently. "It's not difficult. Just practice every day. Every time you meet someone, try to put yourself in their place, to look at them with the eyes of compassion." Over time, the student realized that each time he did this, his heart became more open, more gentle, and negative judgments gradually disappeared. Dear friend, the connection between understanding yourself and understanding others is wisdom, a living wisdom that you practice every moment in your daily life. When you learn to love yourself with understanding, you are planting seeds of love for everyone around you. And when you open your heart to understand and care for others, you are walking the path of awakening the Buddha showed us. This is not just theory. This is life. Applying understanding in daily life. Dear friend, the journey of understanding yourself and understanding others is not just abstract ideas in books or teachings. It's a practical path we walk every single moment of our daily lives. When we apply these teachings at work, with family, and among friends, we begin to notice a real and meaningful difference. At work, understanding your own feelings helps you react less impulsively. It helps you avoid saying or doing things that might unintentionally hurt your colleagues or clients. Instead of rushing to blame or getting angry when things don't go your way, you can pause. Take a deep breath and check in with yourself. What am I feeling right now? Am I anxious, stressed, or afraid? By understanding yourself, you gain control over your reactions. You become calm, clear, and mindful. In family life, understanding others becomes even more important. We often get upset or blame our loved ones over small things. But if we learn to listen deeply, to see the hidden pain behind their words or actions, we won't hurt them unintentionally with harsh words or gestures. Instead, we respond with patience and kindness. With friends, understanding helps us maintain honest and lasting relationships. When friends show difficult emotions or behave in ways we don't like, it's important to remember they are also struggling in their own way. Instead of judging or getting upset, try to look with compassion and understanding. So how can we practice understanding ourselves and others in everyday life? Here are some simple suggestions you can start today. Every morning, sit quietly for 5 minutes to recognize your inner feelings. You don't need to do much, just observe your breath and gently ask yourself, what emotions are present in me right now? Am I feeling worried, happy, calm, or sad? This helps you not get swept away by surface emotions but look deeper inside to discover the root of your feelings. When you face conflict or strong emotions, take 3 deep breaths before reacting. Breath is the bridge that brings you from anger or confusion back to calmness and awareness. Just a few mindful breaths can change how you respond and reduce harm to yourself and others. Every day, practice deep listening with a loved one or friend. Let them speak without interrupting or judging. Listen with your whole heart and mind as if they are part of yourself, someone deeply in need of understanding. You'll be surprised by the healing power of sincere listening. When mindfulness and compassion come together, they are like 2 wings of a bird, helping you soar freely in your inner world. Mindfulness keeps you awake and aware of each moment. Compassion warms your heart, allowing you to love and accept yourself and others. You see, understanding yourself and others isn't something complicated or distant. It's simply taking gentle steps every day on the path back to true peace, freedom, and happiness. If you practice regularly, you'll notice a wonderful change in how you face every situation and relationship. You will no longer be controlled by your emotions but become calm, loving, and intentional in every action. This journey is yours and it's ours together. Thank you for listening and walking this path with me. The mind of understanding is the mind of freedom. Dear friends, we have journeyed together through a deep path, from understanding ourselves by looking inward to opening our hearts to empathize and truly understand others. In Buddhist teachings, understanding oneself is not merely a simple awareness. It is the solid foundation upon which we can open our hearts to compassion and acceptance for those around us. When we truly understand ourselves with all our suffering, weaknesses, and imperfections, we come to realize that others are living with similar inner worlds. There is no real enemy, only people carrying their own pain, struggling with life's challenges. This very understanding soothes anger, dissolves hatred, and erases the boundaries that separate us. Let us pause for a moment and reflect on this meditation question. If today were the last day I could spend understanding someone, who would I want to understand more deeply? You might ask yourself, is it a family member? A friend with whom you have disagreements? Or perhaps yourself, the person you've sometimes judged too harshly and forgotten to truly listen to? This question is not meant to pressure you, but to gently invite you from your heart to return to your own truth, to see more clearly the value of each relationship and every moment of life. The journey of understanding ourselves and others is a long one. It is not a destination but a path we walk each day, through every breath we become aware of, every look we offer to another. You can begin right now with simple actions, a minute of stillness to recognize your feelings, a deep breath when faced with difficulty, a compassionate glance toward the person you meet today. Allow yourself to slow down, breathe deeply, and feel the fullness of life in every moment. And as you practice this, you not only bring peace to yourself, but also spread the light of wisdom and compassion to those around you. The mind of understanding is the mind of freedom, freedom from anger, freedom from ignorance, freedom from the chains of judgment and suffering. A free mind lives with mindfulness and kindness, loves unconditionally, and no longer divides self and other, seeing all as one flowing river of life. Before we close this video, I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time to listen and walk alongside me on this path of self-discovery and understanding others. If you found this sharing meaningful, please don't forget to share this video with those you care about, and especially subscribe to the channel so we can continue exploring the path of living with wisdom and compassion through Buddhist teachings. Remember, every day you practice is a day you plant seeds of peace, happiness, and freedom in your heart. May the light of wisdom always accompany and illuminate your way, so you can live a life of calm and fullness. With deep gratitude until we meet again in the next videos.